Will the clerk please call the roll?
Mark?
Here.
Jeff?
Here.
Brandy?
Here.
Jay?
Here.
Kurt?
Are you online? Oh, sorry. Are you online, Kurt? He's excused if he doesn't call in.
Taylor?
Here.
Bob?
Excused. Okay, it's now time for the voluntary Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, that brings us to item 3 on the agenda, excuse me, and that is approval of minutes, and the only meeting we have to approve the minutes for is August 22nd, 2019. I'd entertain a motion to do so.
So moved.
Second. Motion been made by Member Stanton Greger, seconded by Member Mucci. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, the minutes are approved. Item 4, amendment and approval of agenda for tonight's meeting. Is there any changes?
I'd move to approve it as is.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, motion been made by Member Stanton Greger, seconded by Member Morrell. All those in favor of approving it, the agenda, meeting agendas presented, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, we'll move forward. Public hearings, item 5. There's a public hearing tonight on ordinance 2019-08, an ordinance determining that property conveyed to the borough in a tax foreclosure proceeding is not required for a public purpose and shall be disposed of by the borough. Is there anybody in the audience tonight that would like to participate in that public hearing? Seeing none, public hearing is closed. Bid awards, there are 2 this evening for us to look over. First one is Petersburg Municipal Power and Light Rate Study. Utility Director Hageman recommends award of the rate study to D. Hiddle and Associates Incorporated for an amount not to exceed $32,800. I'd entertain a motion to approve that.
So moved.
Motion been made by Member Mucci. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Member Stanton Greger. Any discussion? I just have a couple of questions. So there was 3 bidders. They give the names, and there's a points system that they use, 120 maximum possible points. D. Hiddle was 109.3, far above 20 points above the next bidder. But I was just wondering how close the bids were dollar-wise. Do we have that information, just out of curiosity?
No, I don't.
That's just...
Jody?
I think the lowest bidder, which is the one that Director Hayerman is recommending, was about $10,000 less.
Oh, D. Hiddle was less than... Oh, okay. I'm just kind of curious.
Yeah, it was the lowest out of all 3.
Oh, great. So maybe, I don't know if it would make any difference to the assembly, but to have the numbers and maybe how it's scored, and just out of curiosity, who's on the evaluation committee, just listed, so...
Sue Flannery and myself and Carl were on the evaluation.
Okay, perfect, thank you. So if there's no other discussion, will the clerk call the roll?
Brandy?
Yes.
Mark?
Yes?
Bob? Oh, sorry, Jay?
Yes.
Jeff?
Yes.
Taylor?
Yes.
Okay, that passes unanimously with a 5-0 vote. Winter sand bid. Public Works Director Cotter recommends award of the sand bid to Rock and Road Construction for the amount not to exceed $36,000. I'd entertain a motion to award that bid.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, motion made by Member Mucci, seconded by Member Morrell, and I believe this was the only bidder, so any discussion? Clerk call the roll.
Jeff?
Yes.
Jay?
Yes.
Taylor?
Yes.
Mark?
Yes.
Brandy?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, that bid is awarded to Rock and Road Construction. Okay, item 7. The next item on the agenda is persons to be heard with items related to tonight's agenda. Is there anybody that would like to speak? Mr. Lynch, please state your name, who you represent.
Good
evening. My name is Brian Lynch, and I'm representing Rivers Without Borders. I'm addressing 15A, Salmon Beyond Borders sign-on letter, Canadian large-scale mines. While this is not one of our Rivers Without Borders letters, we encourage and support the sign-on and the sending of these sort of letters to Canada to try to increase their increase our participation in their mining industry and mining permitting and establishing financial assurances that if anything goes wrong in any of these transboundary mines that we can be made, hopefully be made whole, or there'll be some sort of financial payment for any kind of damages they cause on these rivers. Anyway, again, I urge you to sign on to this letter. I think it's a good one, and I think it's well worthwhile to do. I also want to thank this body and Petersburg for all the work that you've done and all the letters and resolutions and whatnot that you've sent over the years to both the state of Alaska, Canada, the federal government, or congressional delegation. It's a long process. It gets very frustrating at times, but I really appreciate all the work that you guys have put into this. So thank you very much.
Thank you for your testimony. Okay, are there any other people in the audience tonight with views related to tonight's agenda? Seeing none, we'll move to item 8. Are there any persons in the audience that would like to speak to items unrelated to today's agenda? Seeing none, we'll move forward to board, commission, and committee reports. Excuse me. There are none tonight, so we'll move to the consent agenda. And on the consent agenda tonight, there is one item, and that's the approval of election officials for the October 1st, 2019 election. I would entertain a motion to approve those election officials.
So moved. Second.
Okay, motion been made by Member Stanton Gregor, seconded by Member Mucci. I'd like to thank Jennifer Briner, Eric Castro, Sally Dwyer, Brenda Norheim, Stephanie Payne, Nancy Strand, Molly Tabor, Bill Tremblay, Chad Wright, and Starla Youngberg for volunteering for this position. So,
Absolutely.
if there's no other discussion, will the clerk please call the roll?
Randy?
Yes.
Mark?
Yes.
Jeff?
Yes.
Jay?
Yes.
Taylor?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. Thanks again for your offer to participate in that. Report of other officers. We have Phil Hofstetter, the CEO from PMC, to give us a little speech here.
It'll be quick. I'll try to keep it short. Thank you. Just a couple of notifications. Next week, September 24th, we will have our forum for our board elections. So we have six folks running for 3 seats, and it was really interesting watching the assembly and the mayor forum, and we'll do the similar thing in the same place, the assembly. So for those available, it'd be great to have you come out, and don't forget to vote, obviously, back to October 1st, just like you all. One update with master planning. I had talked with Bob Lynn, our liaison, related to when we do our work session after the elections, to have our project manager with the master planning firm to come up, and he is available most of that month. So once we get a date locked down, we should be able to work with him to come up and provide that as part of the session. So we're looking forward to that. And then the only other thing, it's been extremely busy at the hospital. It's probably one of our busiest 4-week stints. I don't know what's going on in the community, but it's been very, very high census, high volume. I want to just put a commendation to our staff. They've been extremely busy, extremely stretched thin. We've had upwards of 9 patients and inpatient, and that's been ongoing. 5 seems like it's a low evening. So really want to commend our staff for putting the time in. And that's it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Phil. Is there any questions of the CEO? Thank you, Phil.
Thanks.
Okay, that brings us to the mayor's report. Pretty short today. If I can get it to pop up here. I'll be traveling to Southeast Conference, leaving tomorrow, back on the 21st. We're meeting hopefully with the mayor of Cake and the manager of Cake to discuss, their, the road to Cake, and ask them if they will send us some, their position in writing at some point. Also, I heard on the news today that the mayor from Prince Rupert will be there. Representative Ortiz from Ketchikan has been working to try to, make it happen to keep the ferry running to Prince Rupert. And it sounds like they might have something coming together, so that'll be interesting. And I'd like to thank Assembly Member Walherter. Kurt Walherter was appointed to a vacant Assembly seat in February of 2013, just after Borough formation, and has been an elected member of the Petersburg Borough Assembly ever since 6.5 years. Thank you, Member Walherter, for your time and commitment serving the community. We wish you the best in your retirement, and that's from the Assembly and myself. So hopefully we could reiterate that if he's here for the canvassing of the October 1st election. The 2019 municipal election, the borough's municipal election, will be held in the activity room of the community center on October 1st, 2019, from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Absentee voting is currently available at the borough offices, 12 South Nordic Drive, during normal business hours, 8 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. The last time to vote absentee is Monday, September 30th, 2019 at noon. So thank you for giving us that information, Debbie, to report from the mayor. And for more information, you can contact Clerk Thompson at dthompson@petersburgak.gov or 907-772-5405. And a sample ballot is attached. You can get it online, so I'm not going to go through the details. Back up here a minute. Later this evening, we'll be discussing and voting to sign on to a letter that Mr. Lynch was talking about from Salmon Beyond Borders. I attended an open house at the Scandi House last week that was hosted by Salmon Beyond Borders. That group will be traveling to D.C. soon to advocate for action by the Secretary of State to protect our transboundary rivers from large-scale mining in British Columbia. They had a banner there that they'd been carrying around with them to all the communities they've been to sign on to, so I signed on to it as the mayor of Petersburg, and there was a couple dozen other signatures on it. So hopefully we will vote to send that letter off. Also, that is where I got the letter. It was from Brianna there that night. So that concludes my mayor's report. We'll let Steve give his manager's report.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The Emergency Trauma Technician, or ETT, course started yesterday, September 15th. We sent information to approximately 30 people. However, the prerequisite class on September 8th had only 8 people, so we're not sure how well that'll go. Sandy also taught a first aid CPR course on August 14th. We had some maintenance on some of our equipment. Pump testing was completed on all the fire engines, and we did have some electrical and suspension issues with Medic 2 that are in the process of being fixed. EMS, kind of reiterating what Phil had said, EMS has been super busy with multiple situations where both ambulances were needed at the same time. Currently 30 calls ahead of where we were last year with 4 months still to go. Thank you very much to the volunteers. Our annual financial audit was this past week, along with property tax due date and absentee voting. So it has been a busy last week and continuing this week. Assisted living residents joined a picnic with the Petersburg Medical Center at Sandy Beach on August 24th. It was a very good time for all, and we appreciate everyone's help with that. The motor pool fire displaced the mechanics and the streets crew. We have relocated the crew support areas to the Public Works building, and shop operations are getting back underway. Although the cleanup and recovery continue, most shop equipment and operations have now been relocated, and we hope to start catching up soon on the backlog of work that has accumulated since the fire. Congratulations to Aaron Morrell, who started work as the Sanitation Operations Supervisor on September 5th. He's going to do a really good job there for us. The baler replacement project is on track with installation of a new baler, and the conveyor is scheduled to begin on October 7th. Curbside collection of recyclables will be suspended for a minimum 6 weeks beginning September 23rd to allow for the demo of the old unit and installation and startup of the new baler. Major changes to the recycling program are pretty much unavoidable at this point without impact to future sanitation rates. Basically, we'll see more of that when we finish the rate study, but due to the commodities prices, it's costing us more to recycle than what they're charging us for basically raw garbage right now. So Chris is working on outlining all that for everyone, and that, along with the rate study, will go back to the Assembly for discussion and for the Assembly and the community to kind of weigh in and decide how you want us to proceed. Sam Jackson is now the full-time building maintenance person except for some snow removal duties as needed. He'll be working with Admin Assistant Karen Malcolm to catalog all of our equipment in various buildings and input this data into the iWork program to better manage our customer work orders as well as preventative maintenance tasks. Chris will be at Southeast Conference in Sitka, September 18th through the 20th, in addition to attending the Southeast Alaska Solid Waste Authority, or CSWA, annual meeting. He's planning to make site visits to local sanitation and recycling facilities to check out how Sitka is doing it. We had a whole bunch of anniversaries and changes in the month of July and August. So we had some new folks. Jessica Ray is a RA at Mountain View Manor. Jeffrey Gillen is a utility worker. Liam Demko, a library page. Ann Renda is back as our on-call registered nurse at the Manor. Stacy Fredrickson in dispatch, and Raymond Wiesenbaum, laborer 2. We had a whole bunch of anniversaries in July and August. Aaron Hankins, lifeguard 2, 1 year. Nicholas Hunsecker, sanitation operator, 2 years. Ryan Wallace, lifeguard, 2 years. Chris Cotta, public works director, 11 years. Derek Thorson, sergeant, 18 years. Sean Akers, custodian, 2 years. Adam Day, lineman, 4 years. Julie Anderson, 6 years. Michael Bell, water supervisor, 11 years. And Anna Callum, finance clerk, 2 for 13 years. We had over 100 people attend the Rainforest Festival series of events at the library last weekend, so thank you for their support. The library's summer intern departed at the end of August. Thank you to many people who offered their input and spoke with her. The library will be implementing many of the recommendations made during the project in the coming months. Information about the user experience project and details about the improvements that we've made can be found on the library's website, psglib.org. Thanks also to Karen Hofstad, Glo Wallen, and Desi Burrell for providing housing and transportation. A new version of the library's website was launched this past week. It has been redesigned based on usage statistics and comments received during the user experience project. FCS Group has been actively engaged in the water and wastewater rate study. There will be a public presentation regarding the findings and recommendations on September 26th from 6 to 7 at the public library. All Assembly members and candidates are encouraged to come, as well as any member of the public that is interested in hearing the presentation. SEPA had their annual maintenance shutdown from September 3rd through the 9th. Power and Light provided power to Petersburg via the power plant and the Blind Slough Hydro during this time. We did have one issue with a fuel transfer line at Scow Bay, which caused a short outage on Saturday the 7th, but the problem has been identified and fixed. All the other units ran well during the shutdown. The line crew continues to work on trimming and removing trees that are encroaching on the power lines. Wrangell graciously loaned us their taller bucket truck again this year so that we can reach some areas that are inaccessible to our equipment. Thanks to the property owners who recognize the hazards associated with the tree trunk or limb being in close proximity to our 24/9-volt power, primary power lines, and have allowed us to keep their property and our system safe.
All right, thank you, Steve.
Any questions?
Are there any questions from the Assembly of the Manager? Member Mucci.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. To the City Manager, have you had any input about painting the yellow lines down Main Street and the fog lines and how we make that happen in the future?
If the Assembly would like that, I'll back up. Several years ago, I took that out of the budget. It's about, Chris, was it 12, 15,000 to stripe the street, something like that? I think I'm close.
Yeah, I think if we kept up with it, that's probably what it would be at this point to set up all the roads that we used to do, because a lot of the stripes are gone. It'd probably be more like a $25,000 to $30,000 effort. If we did, all the side streets and things that we used to do, we could probably just do Main Street, for a lot less than that if there was a reduction in scope just to the main roads.
So we would have to plan for it in the next year's budget discussions to add it back so that we'd coordinate with the state when they bring the vehicle that does it here.
Member Mucci?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, that'd be great. We see that painting machine at the ferry terminal after they've done all our work, and it would have been really nice if we could have piggybacked on that task. But yeah, we can certainly plan on it.
Sure. And like I said, it's one of those things where the last few years we've been looking for places to cut that don't have a real massive impact on people's lives, and that was one that was taken out of the budget several years ago, actually.
Any other questions of the manager? Member Mucci?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Is it possible to get an update on some of the issues that have been going on up at the Parks and Recreation Department to see if
we can do that?
we're headed anywhere?
Sure. Yep. I asked Stephanie to be here so she's a little closer to it than I am, so if you wouldn't mind, she can speak to that if that's okay.
Sounds good.
Yeah. Thank you very much for having the opportunity to chat with you guys. As of today, we have enacted our new discipline policy, and this policy is amended from the middle school discipline policy to accommodate our facility and our patron structure. We have also created a logbook for our specialists to use when doing their facility checks. It includes the times and who they spoke to, and if anything of note, if there was anything. We are currently working with the hospital to conduct another lifeguard course for their staff, which allows us the opportunity to get a few more people in and hopefully bring them on as lifeguards. We will be advertising for more lifeguards soon. We will also be running another ad in the paper for a custodian. It'll be a nighttime shift to ensure that we get a sufficient clean in our facility while it's closed. Our fall basketball season has started last Monday, and as of today, we have 67 kids between all the 3 different age groups. We have wonderful coaches that have come in, but we're still looking for more referees and scorekeepers and timekeepers. So if anybody would like to jump in, they can contact me at spayne@petersburgak.gov. We have our new fiber optic line that has been certified by PCS, and with everyone's help, we can move forward with getting bids on an improved camera system for the entire facility and outside. We've also installed the 6 door alarms for the exit doors that are down the hall and the ones that are in the gym. And we have also received our signage for those doors stating that the alarm will sound when opened and they're emergency exits only. We'll be working on covering those back door windows to help dissuade people from using them. We've had quite a few people already set off the alarm since we've put them in, so it really lets us know just how much they really are getting used going out. They can't get in. We have the new chemical controllers for the pool, and they are working wonderfully, and we still continue to get people bringing us compliments on the water quality. The Parks and Maintenance Assistant will be switching over to our facility more in the next couple of weeks to help focus on more of the cosmetic issues like replacing lights, replacing trim, things like that, so that Cody can focus more on our bigger issues. This includes reinstalling the gym door hardware so that it can be locked and blocked off when not available to the public for use. We have our new administrative assistant, Teresa Craig, that has joined us, so that way we have more time, Chandra and I have more time to spend with our current staff and all of the facility needs, going through, checking things, making sure everything is up to par. And we've been continuing to chat with Ben Hind with the Viking Swim Club. He'll be talking with their board to determine what we can do with their equipment in the old office so that we can begin to utilize that space again and monitor the activity that's going on down at the end of the hallway, end of the building, and into the gym. We're considering other areas in our facility to help accommodate their continuing needs. So if we can move their stuff somewhere else in the facility, that'd be great. And we've been acquiring office equipment for the space so that we are ready to use it when it's available. And we also have our next community meeting that we would like to host at the Community Center on Monday, October 7th at 5:30. So we encourage everybody to join and come chat with us, see what else we can do, see if they have any ideas, things like that.
Okay, thank you. Member Mucci.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think it'd be good when you're having this community meeting on October 7th to reach out to the folks that sent letters of concerns,
Oh, yeah.
interest. And
Yeah.
I think it would be a real cool thing for outreach from Parks and Rec
Sure.
to contact those folks and tell them what's going on, tell them where you are, because obviously they had some concerns, and we saw lots of letters about that.
Yeah,
So it would be
I
nice
remember.
It would be nice if you at least contacted the folks that sent you notes.
Oh, we do, and we send them updates on what's been going on, so they are in the know, and they also have that date also that's been sent to them as well.
That's great. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, are there any other assembly members that have questions of the manager and his report? Okay, we'll move on to the next item on the agenda, that's unfinished business. Tonight we have one thing under unfinished business, and that's the second reading for ordinance 2019-08. And this is an ordinance determining that property conveyed to the borough in a tax foreclosure proceeding is not required for a public purpose and shall be disposed of by the borough. I'd entertain a motion to adopt this in its second reading.
So moved.
For second.
Second.
Motion's been made by Member Mucci, seconded by Member Norheim. Discussion. Seeing none, will the clerk call the roll?
Mark,
Yes.
Taylor,
Yes.
Brandy,
Yes.
Jay,
Yes.
Jeff.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, ordinance 2019-08 passes unanimously in its second reading. That brings us to new business. First item there, A, 19-311, Salmon Beyond Borders sign-on letter. And it's a letter urging Secretary of State Mike Pompeo to get involved and contact the Canadian government and try to get the International Joint Commission involved, and it's to do with control or help get some accountability for the large mines up in British Columbia. So I'm not going to read the whole letter, but it's kind of a reiteration of what we've done in the past. Like remember Mr. Lynch said earlier, we've been dealing with it since we were a council and not even formed a borough yet, to his recollection. So anyway, I'd entertain a motion to approve us to sign on to this letter.
So moved.
Second.
Motion been made by Member Stanton Gregor, seconded by Member Morrell. Any discussion? Clerk call the roll.
Brandy,
Yes.
Jay,
Yes.
Taylor,
Yes.
Mark,
Yes.
Jeff.
Yes.
Okay, we will sign on to that letter as an assembly and send that on. Next item under new business, item B, certification of election results, special meeting. We need to hold a meeting within 7 days of October 1st. We have a regular meeting, first meeting in October is scheduled for the 7th. We could do it then, or the clerk has suggested maybe October the 3rd, or Thursday, or Friday the 4th. So, Member Morrell will be gone all of October. Member Stanton Gregor, I believe you're leaving the first part of October till the middle.
Correct. I'll be gone during that first week in October.
So you'll be gone during that time frame. And do you have any idea, Clerk Thompson, when Bob Lynn will be back? Member Lynn?
He will be back for the October meetings. He told me he would only miss September.
Okay, so I'm just putting my numbers together for a quorum. So if Mr. Wallander isn't here, and if Bob's here, we should have a quorum with Taylor.
I probably won't be in town, but I won't know if I'll be in cell service to call in or not.
Well, we need 4 present to have a quorum to...
And I didn't bring your schedule. Are you going to be gone?
I'll be here.
You'll be here that week.
So will you be here on the 7th, Member Mucci?
Thank you. So,
So that'll be Jeff, myself, Bob, and potentially Taylor. So Taylor, well, go ahead. I guess you could reach out.
and possibly Kurt. That'll have to find out.
Go
Go ahead.
Stan Gregor.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. I guess there's one exception to, I will be here, let me pull up my calendar real quick. I fly out in the morning jet on the 2nd. So if we want to do it Wednesday morning, I'll be available then, so I don't get to work.
Do we have to allow so much time after the election to go through?
We don't necessarily know. The longer we wait, the more opportunity for those coming back in the mail to be counted, but...
Mailed and absentee ballots. So.
Correct. But there's nothing that says we can't certify the election the next morning. And hopefully I don't have to stay up all night to make sure it's all ready.
So you'll be here till noonish on the 2nd?
Yeah, available till whenever, I'm probably not a very viable member to have for that, but I figured I'd throw it out there.
I would also be
Here on the 2nd?
There's a really good chance of that, yeah.
We may need to do that. What about you, Mark?
I'll be here. I was hoping it would be on the 7th, but it doesn't matter. I'm flexible. I could adjust my schedule.
So, would you like me to send an email maybe tomorrow to Kurt and see whether or not he will be here? And then at that point, we can determine whether we need to make it the 2nd or if we can wait till the 7th?
If he could be here on the 7th, maybe that would be better to allow as much time as we can to let the mail and ballots come.
And we have a full guaranteed quorum then if Kurt's in.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right. So.
Okay. I will get back to everybody.
Okay, does that work for everybody then? That course of action? Okay, so do we have to vote or entertain a motion to let the clerk?
no.
No, I don't.
We're
think
good enough. Yeah, we can just move on.
I thought so. It's not
Yeah.
like we're spending money or doing anything like that. Okay, communications. We had communication from the state of Alaska, and it's the draft forest land use plan for the Parley 1 timber sale. Public comment will be accepted on the timber sale until the end of the day, September 17th, tomorrow. And we just received this was it a couple weeks ago?
Yeah, if we had had an earlier meeting this month, then this could have been on it, but we didn't, and so yeah.
It's been advertised.
It has. The Forest Service the state is doing a good job of advertising.
So it's not like it's the first time the public has heard of it, so.
Correct. Okay,
that is the only communication I have, unless there's others. Anybody else have any communications? Assembly discussion items, there's none listed. Does anybody have any that popped into their mind that they want to talk about? Doesn't look like it. And there's nothing listed under recognitions. Any assembly members have recognitions? Member Stanton Gregor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just wanted to encourage all voting members of the public to get to know your candidates. It's Petersburg, it's a small town, so you can find any of them and approach them, talk to them, ask them questions. And then once you've done that, the next step is you can go and vote anytime you want during business hours at the Borough. What is that, 8 a.m. to 4:30 p.m., Clerk Thompson?
That's correct.
Up until September 30th, or through September 30th?
Until noon, September 30th.
Thank you. That means if you're on lunch break or you got a minute walking downtown, pop in and vote. And I would love to see as high a voter turnout as possible, so please do so, and thanks.
Okay, any other recognitions? Member Mucci?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I know we've all read about it in the newspaper and on social media, but I wanted to say thanks to the police department for dealing with the drug arrests out the road. I think it says a lot for their hard work and dedication, and I'm very thankful that they're there. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that, and I concur. Thank you, Chief Kerr, and all the agencies involved in that. Any other recognitions? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, adjourn.